think what's missing is the secret sauce. So that's the foundation. And it's almost like it needs to be the operating system that runs in your computer. You need to have the processor. You need to have all of that running in the background. But it's not what is communicated to the client. It's the operating system of your computer. We're using photography to help people reconnect as a family, to help them see and discover why they're relevant and why somebody loves them.
Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And you have Steve and Jonathan and myself today. So we're going to have some fun talking about it. What are we talking about, Jonathan?
What are we talking about? Oh, wow. We're talking about a subject that is one of my favorite things to talk about because it agitates me a little bit when you see in forums out there all over the interwebs and the Facebook groups and all of these online communities, and even in person, when you see people putting down their clients all the time and saying, oh, that client didn't value me and my work. And, I just want to attract clients who value quality photography, and I want to attract clients who value me and my art. It just really pisses me off.
He's in form today, Steve.
If I'm being honest. Is that a curse word? Am I allowed to say that?
He's on form
Someone
today.
got out of the wrong side of the bed today, didn't they, John?
Potentially, yes. Maybe I did.
I mean, everybody wants that dream client that's going to buy everything. But the reality is that we need to understand what our clients want and what they are really looking for when it comes to, because when a client's commissioning us, and that's what they're doing, they're commissioning us to do a job for them. It's like any other industry. If you were to hire a carpenter, Ronan, to come to the house, like, he's got to find out what you want, and he needs to find out what the purpose of it is, and he needs to find out, what he's got to work with, and what is the long-term goal of whatever it is that you want to create. And it's no different for photography. In order for us to create something that they're going to value, we need to find out what the clients are looking for. And for us, it's what are they looking for? And half the time they don't really know. They've got an inkling, but they don't really know. And then who's going to be that person that they want this for? Because sometimes it's for a parent or a grandparent. Sometimes it's for themselves. Sometimes it's for future generations. Sometimes it's a legacy. Obviously, branding sessions, it's to a specific client. They're trying to attract a certain client at different stages of their buying process or decision-making process. And so we need to find out, we need to step into our client's shoes and understand what it is that they want. The problem is most people aren't really trained to know how to choose photography. And so it's up to us to take them through it.
So on that note about understanding what our clients want, what can we dive into that subject a little bit and just have a chat about that? So typically what do clients want from photography? What are they seeking? Do they want that family photo for, if you're a family photographer, for the living room or the sitting room or whatever you call it? Why are clients seeking photography? What do they value about it?
Well, I think that family photo in the living room is a catalyst. It's just a reason to contact us. And it's almost like when they go and book a holiday, like they're looking for a holiday, and they're looking for a holiday destination. But usually there's a lot more to why they need a holiday or why they think they need a holiday. And I think our industries align very closely to the holiday industry, because a lot of people are booking a holiday to create a better connection with each other, or to build that they work or they're trading time for money all year, and then they take a break. And it's time that they are spending building those connections, building those memories, building those long-lasting ties to each other. And I think what our industry does is the same thing. And booking to have a family photo up on the wall is the same. It's a tool for them to reconnect as a family and for them to spend time together and build memories that they want to treasure. Primarily, there's a lot more to it than wanting a photo. It goes deeper than that. But it's up to us to help them discover what that is.
So when we see photographers talking about quality photography, are they thinking more around the technical proficiency of it, or that it aligns with the 12 elements that they go through in print competition? Or is when you hear a photographer saying, I wish my client would value photography, or I'm looking for clients who value photography, is that, when they say that, is that what they're thinking is quality photography?
I hear them talking about people valuing my work and valuing me and valuing my photography. I think what they're expecting is for the clients to like the photos that I know that I could win an award on, that have met all those elements that you're talking about. The problem is when you look at what clients buy, it's none of that, usually, or very rarely that, because if I've photographed something that I know I could win an award on, usually that's not the one that the clients are buying or spending the money on. They're buying sometimes that slightly out of focus photo that is nowhere near as well lit, but speaks to them and has an emotional connection to them. And so most people are happy to spend money on something that means something emotionally to them. Whether it hits all of those key elements of perfection as far as a technically perfect photo, they're not even aware of it. They're just not.
Nor do they care, right?
No, nor do they care. And nor have they been educated on it. So if we can understand what clients actually value and then give them that, because they've commissioned us to give them that, then they will love our work and they will want to buy willingly, and they will come back again and again and again.
So just coming in on that, that's quite interesting, because this is where some dots connected for me over the last year, was that, when you're having the calls with your clients and you're asking questions about them and their family and what they love and what they value, like you just mentioned, and you're discovering what they truly value about themselves and their family, it's allowing you to then understand what you need to photograph for in the session, but it's also allowing you to understand how to describe that photography to those clients in the design consultation to attach that emotional meaning to the photograph and allow the clients to actually see what they value in the photograph, so that photograph becomes priceless to them and has meaning for them.
Yeah,
that was a big aha moment this year.
And that's almost the, what you need to arm yourself with, or they're the tools that you need when describing photos, because we have to teach clients how to see. We need to teach clients how to interpret the photos. And in order to do that, we need to understand what are those key elements that they see in themselves. What are they proud of? What are those gifts that child has that they're looking for in the photographs? Because if we don't give them that, and we don't teach them how to see, they go automatically into judgment mode. And in judgment mode, they're looking at backgrounds. They're looking at what they think they look at, and they're looking for fault. So their filters primarily start looking for what's wrong to begin with. And then they begin whistling away or eliminating, rather than us coaching them through, how to interpret this photograph. What are those things that we have brought out in them that we know that they value? And telling them the story of how that photograph does that for them. That then becomes priceless to that person.
And that's why they buy multiple pieces and treasure boxes and multiple photographs. And that's when you get the clients who spend willingly on themselves and their family and spend those $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, euro, pound orders because they're buying something that's meaningful for them.
Yeah. And we've just come back from a workshop and we've now witnessed people implementing that very thing, just one thing, describing the photos to a client, and teaching them how to see, redoing the cropping and culling so the focal points are in the right way, and just adding those small things. We've seen clients double, if not triple. The people that attended the workshop have claimed that their month has doubled or tripled. And so their client spend has doubled and tripled. They haven't done any more clients, but the average sales are higher. And so clients are responding to it favorably, and are happy to spend, which is the best part of it.
Can we just deep dive in that just a little bit in terms of, because I'm trying to align different things in my head, right? So you guys have said that, often the client might value the photograph that's slightly out of focus rather than it being perfect, right? Mm-hmm. Or be an award-winning photo. And so I really want to know is, if I've spent my life, right, honing my craft to be able to take a quality photograph, right, what role does that have in all of this?
Well, you need to understand how to take a quality photo. You need to understand exposure, composition, all of that. I think what's missing is the secret sauce. So that's the foundation. And it's almost like it needs to be the operating system that runs in your computer. You need to have the processor. You need to have all of that running in the background. But it's not what is communicated to the client. It's the operating system of your computer. We're using photography to help people reconnect as a family, to help them see and discover why they're relevant and why somebody loves them and why they're a part of this family. Photography is the tool, and we almost need to assume that, that bit's covered and we're going to know how to take that photograph. But if we make their session all about how I'm going to bounce the light off this to create a shadow here, and how this new prime lens is going to make you look amazing, and we're explaining all the technical stuff, which is the operating system of your computer, it's not what the clients value. What they value is your ability to help them discover what is really important about that person, and for you to see the world through their eyes and to see what they love about that child, what they love about their partner, those connections. What does it mean when he reaches for my hand? What does the pressure in those fingertips mean? What does he do after that? When he draws me closer to him, what does that say to me? And that's what the client's thinking. And if we can describe those photographs in our client's language and how our clients interpret that, those actions, those emotions, that's priceless to them. But if we're talking about the different color backgrounds, the secret location that nobody else knows about that I took you to, that you have the privilege of now being photographed in, how I found this incredible couch at a thrift shop and have made it look completely amazing for you, that's all the superficial stuff. And so it's not going to be as valuable to them as you understanding that this person is my rock. This person is that person that I count on. And that's how he shows me that he sees me. And that's how he shows me he supports me. And I feel a certain way when he does that. And those photographs represent that feeling and that security and that whatever it is that person brings into their lives that elevate them and their relationship. That's what's priceless.
So, Steve, one of the things that I've seen our clients at Difference Maker Revolution give feedback on, which is, their minds seem to be blown as photographers when they do the cropping and culling, because, and I've had conversations with a number of them, and I've had a conversation with one of them who's actually a print judge, right? And he said, what you teach in that is the complete opposite nearly on what they're taught to look for as a judge, in a perfect photograph, right? So can you just talk to us about that in terms of, like, his mind was blown and open, and when he started to crop and cull the way you've taught him, the clients are seeing that priceless value you've talked about, right? When it's combined with everything else. Can you just I know it's hard when we're talking and you can't visually show it, right? But can you just give us
well, I've never done print judging, so I don't know what's being taught, so I can't speak to that. But when I teach cropping and culling, I suppose it's an accumulation of tens of thousands of sales and listening to clients at what they do like and what they don't like and what their objections are. And all I'm trying to do is pull focus to those elements that are meaningful to the clients. So if I know that, if I gave that example of, how, my husband puts his when he shows me he cares, he starts by putting his hand on my shoulder and then draws me towards him. I'm going to pull focus towards the elements that tell the story. And I'm looking for distraction. I'm looking for anything that is going to pull focus away from that. So sometimes, he might be wearing a dark shirt and a light pair of pants, but, the photographer may have left a little bit of those lighter pants, which pull the eye down away from where I want people to look. So if I crop that up and clean it up, then it's going to sell more. I know that somebody leaning towards someone is more positive. And when I tilt in camera, and if I'm not given to it, the problem is a lot of the times when people are holding their children, for instance, they tend to lean back and hold their children and they're here. But I know that psychologically that's a negative sign. So if all we do is tilt that photo leaning forward, we go from leaning back like this to leaning forward, and that person's now leaning into their child, which is more positive, and it sells. As we do that, it tucks the tummy in, it cleans up the shoulders, and it's easier to sell. So we're looking for all of those things that are going to make it more pleasing to the photographer. Now, of course, we've got the documentary photographers who are the opposite. That's who you are. That's how, that's what you are. We shouldn't mess with that. And that's their style. That's what they do. When I was selling, it was about portraiture. It was about making people feel an emotion, and to intensify that emotion of connection and closeness, I want to tilt slightly. If it's not given to me in camera, then I'll do it in ProSelect when I'm selling it. That's why I love ProSelect, because we can tilt, we can adjust, we can crop, we can take away all those things that are pulling that focus away from maybe the eyes or the lips or where the hands are placed. And so the cropping and culling, and I think I know who you were talking about, because after the last workshop, he started doing it, and he said the client's reactions were just incredible. So the photos were there. He was taking the photos, but they didn't consider how they should be cropping and culling in order to make it more desirable for the clients to want the photos. And it's purely about listening, knowing, understanding what clients really want and what they're focused on.
So I know another thing that another member said, Steve, was that, all of his training up to now, and he's trained for years and years and years, right? It's always been about, being zoomed out from your subject, right? That it's the full portrait rather than, the detail. And that seemed to blow his mind. Was this, he said, I need to, having trained with you and seen this, that he's got to retrain for the detail. Just talk to us about the importance of detail.
Well, you need both. You do need those shots that are pulled away, but they don't sell anywhere near as well as the detail shots or the close-up shots. And so you need to come in and get those details. Sometimes the expression in just two hands coming together, especially for those clients that say, I don't want photos of me on the wall. I've sold photographs of just the details of two hands coming together to those type of clients, and they're buying 40 by 40s of this because there's so much expression in two hands coming together. Now, whether that is part of the story, whether that is the fundamental key element of the story, and then you're adding some of these other shots that he's been trained to do around them. You look at cinematography and you look at any other, I suppose, industry, there's always the detail shots, the car magazines, to tell the whole story, to really see a person. We need some of those detail shots so that way we can focus on those elements. I've had couples, and we used to do lots of boudoir, where there might be, something on someone's shoulder, and, when she looks over her shoulder and those two things align, like he melts. And so coming in close, eliminating everything else other than those elements, her lips and that shoulder, that's that extra thing that he is going to make him melt and he's going to want. And they're all those extra photos that you're going to sell because we've understood the client, we've understood the elements that are important, we've taken everything else away.
I have to ask, do you think when photographers say that they want happy clients or happy customers who value them or their artwork or their value quality photography, are they actually saying, I want happy customers and clients who are going to come in and spend willingly and spend on artwork? Is that what they're actually looking for?
Don't we all want that? Yeah, I think so. But I think too that there's an element of, this is a lonely industry. Most people are solopreneurs. Maybe they've got one employee, and we need validation. We need some sort of validation for what we're doing, for what we believe we're contributing to the world. And as photographers, we contribute so much to the world. And we crave that validation for what we're pouring our passion, our soul into. And so that's why the printed awards exist to a degree, I think. But we should be able to get the same validation from our clients, and we should be able to get that reward from our clients because we've understood what they want. And it's almost like it used to astound me that, there was print judging classes, and then leading up to, in Australia anyway, there was for weeks coming up to the awards, they would be running you could submit photos and they'll give you feedback on the photos, and you learn what the judges are looking for and what are the elements that they're looking for this year, and what are those things that in each category that make up the category, what you should be submitting into. But are we putting the same level of understanding into that real judge, which is our client? Are we putting, we got to think that every time we serve a client, we're entering our photos into an award. And we need to understand what those judges are looking for. Those judges are those buying clients. And the rewards they're going to give you is their wall space primarily. That's number one resource they're going to give you. Secondly, obviously, they're going to be, all those extra things they're buying is in the print boxes, in the treasure boxes. But the last thing they think about, but they tell you the first thing they think about is the money. Giving up their wall space, that's the biggest resource that they'll give up. Money is easier to give. But how they're seen, what they think their friends are going to think, what they think their children are going to think when they put artwork on the walls, that's a bigger hurdle for them than physically parting with the money. And if we treated every client like a print judge, like award, a different category, working out what categories we need to shoot for, because within that, they may want something for grandma. They may want, she might be an independent woman who has her idea of how she sees her children and wants a certain style for her, but he sees them differently. And he wants a certain style for him. And these are all different categories that we need to shoot for. And so we need to understand this. And usually we have 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, 5 weeks to understand all of this. How are we putting the same level of effort or the same level of wanting to understand what our judges want from us? What is their expectation? What are they looking for as when we enter something in, the industry awards? Because our clients can provide incredible validation. When they leave and they're excited, they're happy, they refer people, they're spending money with us, we're getting incredible validation.
You're creating artwork that matters.
Yeah. And then people go to their homes and then asking, oh my God, where did you get that? When they talk about it, they're so proud of it. They're telling the story. And those detail shots that we talked about, Ronan, when we teach our clients how to sing, we tell them the story, they're telling that to all their friends. And that's what brings in the next client. That's what brings in the referrals. And that's what makes our business organic. And we're seeing some of our members, like we had somebody talk last night, that her entire business is referral, right? And when we get to a point where we're doing this, the word spreads and clients come back again and again, and it just gets easier because you don't have to worry about where your next client's coming from. You have a consistent client base that is coming back again and again, and they're constantly referring you. What a great place to be. That's validation. Or when a mum calls you and says, Steve, every time my daughter walks out that door, she's a different person because we've hung that artwork right next to the door. And every time she walks out the door, you can see her look at it, fill herself with confidence, and walk out a different person. You don't understand the impact that this has had on my family. But we can only do that if we want to understand the purpose, the why. What are those elements that they're looking for? What do they see in that child? What does she see in herself? What does she want? And shooting for that child is different to shooting for mum. Different category. But you've got to do it all in one shoot. That's what's exciting. That's why we sell multiple pieces.
All right. Jonathan, bring us home.
Well, I mean, that was...
I hope you're not so upset now, Jono.
I didn't quite get that.
Well, you know, when you first started, you said you were annoyed by, by this. But I think you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know what you don't know. And if it's not taught and we're not aware of it, then, you can't blame people for not knowing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So I think that, as many photographers around the world as possible need to hear this podcast.
Get it out there, Johnny.
So when you're listening to this podcast, make sure you share it with all your friends, right? So your posts in all the photography groups is a link to this podcast. Tell everybody, Jonathan, where they can learn more in the Difference Maker Revolution.
Yeah, so when you are ready to actually make a difference and to have not only happy clients, but create clients for life who come back over and over again and refer their friends and family, and you create work that's priceless for your clients, and you let your client be the judge by allowing them to spend and buy multiple pieces for their home, then the best place to learn how to do that is in the Difference Maker Inner Circle. So all you have to do is click the link below this video, apply to join the Inner Circle, and we can't wait to see you inside, where we're going to give you the full A to Z or A to Z system for creating that business that matters and making a difference to your clients.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jonathan. We'll see you on the next podcast. And don't forget, share this one. Every Facebook group.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.
See you later.